Hey everybody, Roxabox90 here with the Midnight spoilers of Born of the Gods. Yes, we have our first Midnight official major spoilers post Kiora, and wow, we got a bunch of stuff to go over, including a whole bunch of changes to mechanics, new cards, new god. We got a god tonight, which is awesome. Let's look first at the mechanics quickly. So we'll start out with Inspired, which is one of the new mechanics, and while it's not 100% going to be the same for every single creature, the main goal is that whenever X untaps, something happens. That's the overall focus. So here we have Oreska's Sun Guide 2 for a 2/2, so it's a classic bear. Cat Monk, which looks awesome. The art is amazing in this set. Whenever it becomes untapped, you gain 2 life. So nothing too crazy, it's a common, and it has to, since it hits play untapped, it has to be tapped and then untapped to do something, and that's kind of how Inspired is supposed to work. You can't just use it right away. The creature has to tap somehow and untap somehow. And it's important when we look at better cards, including an awesome one that's coming up very soon. But let's keep going. Tribute is another new ability. This one requires your opponent to have a choice. They either can pay the tribute cost and have the creature enter with 1/1 counters, in this case 2, or if they don't pay the tribute cost, the creature does an ability. So here 5 for a 3/3 with tribute 2. So it either hits play as 5 for a 5/5, or it's 5 for a 3/3, but it deals 5 damage to each opponent, which is ridiculous. This is crazy, crazy nice value right here. Limited bomb, and it's a common. This could be really good for limited. Whoa. This is a very strong mechanic for limited. The problem is it's kind of annoying to give your opponent an ability like this, of choice like this, in any sort of constructed play, so don't love it in that case. But in terms of EDH, a lot of fun for playing around politically, and also limited is going to be really powerful. Nyx and Bestow, the only real difference that they're having, it seems, is that they're having enchantment creatures through Bestow that are not going to be equal power toughness. Squared stats, I think, is how they refer to it. So whereas before it would be 1 for a 1/1, and that's it, and gives 1/1, here we have 1 for a 1/2 and 1/2, which is different than in the previous set. And we also are going to have enchantment creatures that are just considered global enchantments, and in this case they're considered auras, but they're not considered creatures when they're aura'd, and they only become a creature afterwards. So they're kind of global enchantment versus just creature. I think it's a difference. I don't remember it being as different from the original Theros, but they're definitely emphasizing there is a difference with the Bestow and with the enchantment creatures. So if you want to read it more thoroughly, just look at the article. This card is not really all that great. Even 1 for 1/2 with the Bestow, it's just not that great. It's a generic common. And then we have Everflame Eidolon, which looks awesome. And again, this is Bestow, but this one, whenever it's Everflame Eidolon, it gets 1/0. If it's an aura, the enchanted creature gets 1/0. So it's not enchantment creature when it's bestowed. It is an aura spell, pure, which is really cool. And this card itself is, again, it could be decent and limited, maybe if only because you can give fire breathing, but even so, it's not super great. Devotion, we continue having Devotion. This one is 2. It deals damage to each creature with flying equal to Devotion to green. For 2 mana, it's actually pretty good. I wish it was an instant. It's probably not going to see crazy play, although it could be used as a sideboard card to deal with the mono blue, mono black decks, which do have early game powerful flying stuff, so maybe it can fit into that. I mean, imagine by turn 2 or 3 you're able to wipe out their flyers. This card could work that way, so I do see it maybe as a sideboard card. And Devotion otherwise is the same it's always been. It's based on the number of permanents. Although, when we get to the new god, Ephara, the god of the Polis, it kind of changed a little. She is 2, a white and a blue, for we've seen her artwork. It's absolutely stunning, and I love the shimmering multicolor god thing. It's wow. Enchantment creature god, and she is indestructible as long as your devotion to white and blue is less than 7. She is not a creature. So unlike the 5 from the monocolors, now we have if it's less than 7. Now, the way they're explaining this is that it's hybrid mana symbols such as this count towards both colors but are not counted twice, so you don't get a white and a blue from it, but they do count towards a white or a blue. And it's based on your total devotion. So here you have a blue, 2 white, a white, and a blue, so you end up 3 white and 2 blue. It's a total of 5. And here at the beginning of each upkeep, it's a 6/5, which is not to be made light of, although I'm surprised that they're giving such powerful power and versus toughness for a control planeswalker. It's very strange. I would think a 5/5 or a 4/5, but whatever. The beginning of each upkeep, if Each upkeep. Wow. If you had another creature enter the battlefield under your control last turn, you draw a card. And this is each upkeep. Wow. Okay. So let's talk about EDH because that's my favorite thing. This card is ridiculous. It really is. The fact that you can play this with flicker decks and flash decks and you get massive card draw. I mean, this card could very well go into my Derevi deck that I'm have going just because flickering, which I have tons of, this card is absolutely insane because it's if you had another creature enter the battlefield under your control. It's not if you cast it. So you can flicker things in and out of play, you can flash things into play and out of play, and you draw cards every single turn. So think about it. You could draw 2 cards in a 1v1 match. You're drawing 2 cards from a cycle of turns just for flickering something that you would flicker anyway, or flashing in something that you flash in anyway. In a multiplayer EDH game, you can have it go around the table, flicker, 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 and this card will make you draw, 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 draw. I mean, it's a massive card draw engine. It's indestructible. It's very, very reasonably costed. It's crazy powerful. In terms of standard, not quite as strong because you are playing 1v1, so you're not drawing quite as powerfully, and it only does it once. If you had another, you only get to draw 1 card each upkeep, so you don't get multiples. But even so, long-term game, this card could definitely see play, and it's very reasonably costed for a 4-drop given the colors. Wow. I'm sure better standard players than me will have even more to say about her. I think she's very solid, and she's going to be a really powerful EDH card draw engine. No doubt about it. Wow. Then we have Heroic. We have 3 for a 1/3 Human Wizard. Whenever you cast a spell that targets him, each opponent discards a card. Alright, not all that great. It's more for casual fun multiplayer. It's not going to be that great in Constructed really at all, and it doesn't really do a whole lot, even in Limited, I think. It's just a generic card. And it's very cool. Each nightmare is a cage bird that yearns to be set free. Ashiok is awesome. And then we have the Scry lands, 3 of them for now. So it could, we don't know if there's going to be 5 of them in the set or not. They're only showing 3 right now, but if they don't show, then the next 2 would be in the final set, which could be very possible. Temple of Malice looks freaking awesome, and we've actually seen this custom art before, which is really cool. Temple of Malice is the black-red Scryland. Temple of Enlightenment, blue-white. Temple of Plenty is the green-white. Green-white one, I love the depth that they have. This like breadth. It's like sweeping, a sweeping landscape, which I really love. Temple of Enlightenment's kind of boring, just a pantheon. This could literally be like a painting from Greco-Roman times. So it's flavorful, but it's not a fantastic art piece. Temple of Plenty is fabulous, and I really like Temple of Malice as well. They're both very, very cool. And of course, Scry is back, which we knew. Then we have Archetypes, which is a cycle of 5 enchantment creatures called Archetypes, and what they do is they have 2 abilities, and they're enchantment creatures that don't have to be bestowed. 6 for a 3/2. Creatures you control are flying, which is nice. It's a human wizard, so EDH, keep it in mind. Creatures your opponents control lose flying and can't have or gain flying. So wow, he completely locks down. He's like a global effect. He locks down all your opponent's creatures from gaining flying or having flying and makes all your creatures have flying. Very, very cool. This is a really strong card for EDH, especially. It's a format where human wizards particularly, have very strong archetypes and can easily be played with. Giving the whole board flying versus not flying, it makes your opponents lose their evasion and gives you all evasion. Could be a very strong card in EDH, especially in a more budgetary EDH build. I think it's a little too expensive for Constructed, though in Limited this card is going to be absolutely nuts, I think, because it's ridiculous. It makes all your stuff have massive evasion, and in Limited, that basically means that your guys are unblockable. Whoa. Crazy powerful. Archetype Imagination. Okay, so the first ability is straightforward, all creatures flying. The second ability is worded, so it doesn't matter how or when your opponents have it. This makes it a global-like effect. It just stays in play and has a constant effect on the board. I really want to see what the next ones do, because this one's kind of generic. I'm presuming it could just be creatures you control have trample for the green one, per se. Would be kind of boring, but that's what I'm expecting to see for an uncommon cycle. Very flavorful, awesome, awesome. Alright, then we have Springleaf Drum. This is just the artwork. We already spoiled this before. I actually like this new artwork better, even though it's very different theme. They both fit the theme of their set, which is really cool. Then we have here Ephara. Mark Rosewater talks about her, and the enchantment creatures and superheroes. Does he talk about it here? No, this is just his Ephara article, okay? And then this one's called Divine Inspiration. I don't know if this is misspelled or not. It's really weird. But most importantly, we have Breaking Point, which is 1 and 2 red. Any player may have Breaking Point deal 6 damage to him or her. If no one does, destroy all creatures. Creatures can destroy this way can't be regenerated. Again, this is giving your opponent's choice, which is annoying, even though this brings back Browbeat, which is a reprint from, I think, Odyssey. 2 in a red, any player may have it deal 5 damage to him or her. If no one does, target player draws 3 cards. So either they take 5 for 3, which is a Brimstone Volley, it's fantastic, or you draw 3 cards for 3. Basically, no matter which way it goes, it's really, really good. Though, in Constructed, giving your opponent the choice is going to really hurt it, seeing a lot of play, I think. And Breaking Point has the same problem, although 3 for 6 damage is kind of ridiculous. Or 3 for a Wrath is kind of ridiculous. So this card, I think, is actually really fabulous. It's going to be... I do think this card does have Constructed potential, and wow. But it is not... Neither of these cards work well in EDH in any sense, and neither does the tribute we've seen so far. Most importantly, though, the last card of the night, I believe, is Painseer. 2 for a 2/2 human wizard. This is our Dark Confidant of the set. Inspired, which is inspiration, but the actual way the word is said, inspired. Whenever it becomes untapped, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. You lose life equal to the card's confirmed mana cost. This card is basically instantly constructed playable and will likely have decks built with it very, very readily. Very strong card, especially in other formats. I think this card will find a home readily, but it is not Dark Confidant. Sorry to say. The art is cool, but it is not Dark Confidant. This card requires being untapped to do its ability. It doesn't happen regularly, which means it has to hit play, 2 for 2/2, and it does nothing until it's tapped and then untaps. That really hurts this card a lot, and I don't see it being nearly as prolific as Dark Confidant actually is, but I do think in a non-Dark Confidant setting, which is our standard meta, this card will people will definitely try to build around this, and it could very well be an all-star. I like that it's a rare and they're not pushing into Mythic, even though they probably could have pushed it to Mythic. I'm very happy they didn't. It's going to make it, if it becomes a huge thing, which it could, again, this is one of those cards that I can't really guesstimate on. Dark Confidant, back in the day, I couldn't guesstimate on, otherwise I would have had multiple playsets picked up before it went up. But this card it could very well go up. I would recommend getting a couple of them at least, if you can, early, just because I do think this card has serious, serious potential, though I'm not seeing a deck that it fits right into easily. Whoa. Okay, so that's a ton of spoilers right here. Okay, we're going to be keeping up with spoilers in the future. This is the first night, so we get a ton in a row, but I'm going to be making videos as fast as I can whenever they come out, think it through and talk it out. So if you guys are interested in seeing more spoilers, definitely subscribe if you're not subscribed. And if you like this video and liked all these spoilers you're seeing, tap that like button and go to the comment section, and please let me know what you think about all these awesome cards and the changes of mechanics, and I look forward to talking to you guys down there. And as always, Roxabox 9 signing out. I'll see you guys next time.